Well, welcome back to a rather damp gardener's cottage here in Blakeney on the North Norfolk Coast this afternoon. We're shooting this in late May. What should be glorious weather, and unbelievably was about 20 minutes ago. But it's just the summer of sun and showers here in the UK. But what a display we're getting from this Maygold rose interplanted with this wisteria. Absolutely covered in flower. Not minding the rain too much, and if anything the cooler weather just helping it last that little bit longer here this season. And it's not the only thing enjoying the rain. In this little shady protected corner, the honesty is still flowering away beautifully, and above my head on this flint wall, the Montana Alba has just burst forth this week with these sprays of lime green buds opening to this pure white 4-petal flower. What a beauty this is. Just look at that lovely volume of flower on this. It does this every single year on this aspect, directly west facing, but it does get the majority of the sunshine during the morning, and because it's up into this little mirabelle tree, it does feed itself a little bit during the afternoon. But what a display, which should in about a week or so's time be supplemented by the first flower break from this climbing iceberg, 2 of which we've got planted on this back wall. And just look what we've got along here. Again, absolutely beautiful, big, blousy, lovely coloured lilac, just cascading in this rather wet afternoon with its flowers. Nicely covered by some of the leaf growth here. Plenty more bud to come on. Just look at that in the background. Still budding up. There's a huge, great big buddleia that's going to do its thing later in the season. And this rose that's just forcing its way through here is actually planted against the wall. Look at the buds coming on that. This is an Albertine and should be absolutely spectacular when that does come forward. In the more shady parts of the garden, we've got some lovely wild bank planting here. This is the wild part of the garden where we encourage the natural plants to grow, and this is at this time of year a little bit of a tropical oasis really. Always reminds me the rate with which this comes up and the lime green foliage that we get with the interspersed white and blue flowers. It's just a lovely dappled shady area to pull your sun lounger if we were to get some decent warm weather. But of course this year is very, very unpredictable. Temperatures are still lower than they should be, and the sun loungers here at Blakeney are a little bit of a washout, certainly this afternoon. Fig trees just starting to break bud. Sunflowers down on the floor just starting to try and open up. This little daisy is doing really nicely. This was a find we had from a house we visited in Norfolk last year, and managed to see this naturalised itself beautifully in gravel on a courtyard, and we're trying to reproduce that here at Gardener's Barbecue. Looking a bit damp, not the weather for it, but we've got a few days before the next set of guests come in here at Blakeney. I've got one last rose to show you. My Banksia lutea is just starting to flower, so let's go and have a look at that. This is one of my favourite early flowering roses. Tiny little flowers, but such a pure yellow, pastel-y yellow, and lots of them on a plant like this. Thornless, easy to grow. This is on a pure west face of the cottage. The rose planted in the background there is Gertrude Jekyll, which will be spectacular in about a month's time. But at this time it's all about this Banksia lutea and these bracts of bright yellow, beautiful, quite vigorous climbing rose. The bits we're showing you now are probably about 15 to 20 feet from the root, which is right on the very end of the cottage. It grows very, very comfortably along here and is very nice and easy to look after because of its thornless growth. Fantastic crabapple flower we showed you in full force last week, now over. But picking up the scent on this aspect of the planting is this honeysuckle. We've got several of them here, both the early Dutch and late Dutch varieties. that just fill this pathway in front of the cottage with a ginger flowery scent throughout the year. And just look at this, still in its early stages of bud formation, but it won't be long before these blacks are absolutely covered. This is Rambling Rector, thorny devil of a rose, vigorous upright growth, but when it flowers then it's absolutely spectacular, and that will be one of the roses to visit and enjoy in the coming weeks.